And welcome back. We're broadcasting live. We are in our nation's capital, and we still have all these great senators with us. I really do appreciate all y'all spending some time. This is an important time for the American people. This is that 4 times in 100 years, and then we're going to have to get the House to go along with it. And if you pass it in the Senate, they pass it in the House. They're not agreeing to anything. They're just opening the door. You wanted to make that distinction.
And sometimes people get confused about a budget, right? Most misunderstandings between my wife and I is a misunderstanding, right? It's not an argument. It's just that we don't understand what they're trying to do.
No, you're wrong.
I'm with Christy.
Oh, no. But what I'm saying, okay, fair enough. My wife's always right. But with the House right now, I think there's a misunderstanding of what the budget actually does. The budget does nothing to instruct them. It's just the vehicle for us to move to reconciliation. If we don't get the budget passed, we can't get to reconciliation. And reconciliation is where all the cuts come in. That's where we take DOGE into consideration. That's when we start trying to balance the budget. That's where we can start making the tax cuts permanent.
I hope the House members are hearing you clearly, because that's important.
Now is the time to act. This is our moment. It is a moment in time, and we have got to seize it. The American people have said to us, like, we want results. And if we don't move forward with this, we don't even have an opportunity
for it. If we can't get
for
reconciliation, we can't deliver what President Trump campaigned on and what we all campaigned on.
Let me move on a little bit. So we have this high-level meeting of some kind taking place with Iran. It's going to take place on Saturday. The president was very clear with Prime Minister Netanyahu that Iran will never have nuclear weapons, and if they try to, the price that they will pay will be severe. I interpret that very clearly, and I read today that B-52s that have, let's see, capabilities of being stealth, number 1, and bunker buster bombs, number 2, happen to be in the region. I don't think it's a coincidence. Just a guess, Prime Minister Netanyahu, the second visit since Donald Trump's gotten back in office. The question is, between Iran and China and the Russia-Ukraine conflict in Gaza, we got a lot of foreign policy issues. What about the Iran question? Because there's some people that I don't think you can negotiate with madmen. And I think the Iranian mullahs believe in, the caliphate, which is convert or die. And I don't know how you negotiate with crazy people.
Absolutely. Look, and President Trump understands peace through strength. I mean, that's what we are seeing right now, and Iran knows that. And to your point, we can never allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. We know that they will actually use it. It is not going to be for a deterrent. It will be for use.
Do we know what the breakout time is? Because the IAEA said very soon.
Yeah.
Days, if not hours.
Absolutely.
Keep in mind,
what's that?
Days, if not hours. That's what Joe Biden did. Joe Biden flowed $100 billion to Iran and allowed them to get a breakout time that is unbelievably quick.
So they're at 60% enrichment is what I've read. That's in the public domain. Right. If they can get to 90% in no time, that's weapons grade? Lindsay?
If they have a missile to deliver. But look, if Iran gets a nuclear weapon, there's going to be a war. And Iran won't start it. And I'm not saying America will. Israel will.
Although, John, they don't need a missile. They can put it in a boat and stick it right off the coast of Israel.
Will slap Iran to Pluto.
Don't they need our help and support? Wouldn't they need our bunker busters? Wouldn't they need our planes to deliver them?
We have to have our equipment. Absolutely, they do.
Tom probably knows more about this than most of us. He's the Intel chairman. But I think May 8th or 9th is the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II. If you had told somebody back then, in 2025, there'd be a nation state calling for the extinction of the Jews, they want a nuclear weapon, and people wonder, what should we do? So 80 years later, here's where we find ourselves. They have enough highly enriched uranium to make 6 bombs, and Katie said something all of us agree with. They will use it. If you're watching TV out there, Iran is very close to assembling 6 nuclear bombs. They will kill Israel. They'll come after us. They'll try to purify Islam. Donald Trump is the only thing between them and a bomb. They have to believe he will take down their refineries. They have to believe that he will blow them off the face of the planet, or they're going to get a bomb.
Senator Cotton.
Yeah, I don't know how the president could be any more clear. He said repeatedly since he took office.
But you're on the Intel committee. You know a lot more than I do.
Well, he said repeatedly that Iran's not going to have a nuclear weapon. He's been saying it for 10 years. We've all been saying it for as long as we've been in public office. He wants to give them the path to a diplomatic deal like Libya had in 2003.
In the public domain, the read is they are close. They are months.
They're very close, not just to getting to the enriched uranium they need, but a delivery system, and not just for Israel, but for the United States. They're
I
probably
don't
2 or
want to
3
start
years.
a war, but I don't trust these people. If they get it, I think they'll use it, and we'll have a modern-day Holocaust.
And
Everyone
Sean,
agree with that?
There's only 2 or 3 years from
You
a
agree?
missile that can
Agree?
hit us.
What's that, Senator?
They're
Cotton?
only 2 or 3 years probably from a missile that could hit the United States as well. So it's not just a threat to our friends in Israel, but to the United States itself.
I got 30 seconds. I got to give it to Senator Kennedy. What do you think of the new leadership, Jasmine, AOC, and Bernie?
I consider Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez to be the leader of the Democratic Party. She's entitled to her opinion. I'm entitled to mine. As I've said about her before, I think she's the reason there are directions on a shampoo bottle. And our plan for dealing
you
with
didn't
her,
plan that out. We got to hurry.
Our plan for dealing with her is called Operation Let Her Speak.
We'll come back. More Hannity. Thank you, Senator Kennedy. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.